Two things are for sure: Carnage never dies, and a frying pan makes a great weapon in a pinch. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. I'm your host Amanda McKnight, celebrating Halloween here dressed as one of the most misinterpreted cartoons of all time, Jessica Rabbit. She's not bad, she was just drawn that way. Today, however, we'll be talking about characters who oftentimes have been bad, although one of them is definitely a lot worse than the other. Join me as we count down the top 10 times Venom fought Carnage. Let's get into it. Number 10. Savage Alliance. While Maximum Carnage is often thought of as the first fight between Venom and Carnage, and the one used for inspiration when it comes to the film Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the truth is there were a few tussles before that story actually happened. One of my favorite involves Venom and Carnage fighting over an innocent life, a wee baby. In issue 362 of The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Venom have agreed to team up to take down Carnage. Despite what the cover will make you think happens, the two do actually stick together in this initial fight against the villain prior to Maximum Carnage. Carnage does offer Venom a team-up in rebuttal in this issue though, knowing how much Eddie Brock and Venom hate Spider-Man, as that is apparently all Eddie talked about back when Cletus and him were sharing a jail cell. However, Venom refuses the offer, responding, "A tempting offer, but in this case, business before pleasure." The fight is momentarily interrupted when a banging is heard from the apartment building floor below. A woman is banging her broom on the ceiling, demanding quiet for her baby who is trying to sleep. I guess their fight is making a lot of noise, which makes a lot of sense. Carnage responds by tearing his way through the floor, taking the baby and using it to distract Venom so that he can get away. Don't worry, the baby is saved by Venom in the end, though Carnage does get away and heads to terrorize J. Jonah Jameson. Gasp. Poor Jameson. Number 9. Maximum Carnage. Maximum Carnage was a 14-part story arc that ran between multiple series including Spider-Man Unlimited, Web of Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, Just Spider-Man, and The Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, welcome to the 90s. If you wanted to read this story, you'd actually have to be reading all those series or find that thread that began it all back in Spider-Man Unlimited issue number 1. And then of course follow that story through the other books. This fight was probably one of the most important in terms of firmly establishing the ongoing feud between Carnage and Venom, and the reluctant team-up of Venom and Spider-Man, as well as highlighting the heroic potential Venom as a character possessed. In the end, a lot more heroes got involved, and the fight between Venom and Carnage continued through to the very end of this event in Spider-Man Unlimited issue number 2, even after Carnage was presumed dead. This also set up the ongoing trope of Carnage never really dying permanently, no matter what kind of insane injury he suffered. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists about Carnage and Venom fisticuffs fighting each other, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Honestly, they fought a lot. I could probably go on. I think I could do at least a part 2, if not a part 3. I feel like there's also gonna be people being like, more videos with cosplay. I'm gonna be like, look, you get it for Halloween, friends. Come for Halloween, stay for the year, come back for Halloween again, and there will be more cosplay. Number 8. Let There Be Carnage. Considering that Maximum Carnage is what lent inspiration to the makers of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, I feel like it would be a disservice to not mention the final fight between the two characters in that film. I'm gonna try to keep this point fairly vague on purpose, as I don't want to spoil the film for those who maybe haven't been to see it just yet. After all, there's a lot of really great movies out right now, so no judgment if you haven't been there yet. But what I will say is Shriek's presence adds a very interesting dynamic to the fight between these two villains, or villain and anti-hero, villain and hero I guess in this universe, I don't know. And in the end, this fight also feels quite final. In the comics, Shriek is also a character who is present in Maximum Carnage, which Let There Be Carnage is based off of. She's often known for being Cletus Cassidy's girlfriend and ally, who is almost just as deranged as he is. Shriek's sonic scream abilities mean that her interaction with both symbiotes who are sensitive to sound means that having her involved in the film and this final fight makes for a really interesting watch. All I'm gonna say about that. Number 7. Carnage Unleashed. In Carnage Unleashed, Venom and Carnage end up in one of the most 90s battles ever. Even more 90s than their original fight, also involving Spider-Man in Maximum Carnage, because in this fight, they're going into the internet. Venom Carnage Unleashed is a story that centers around a Carnage video game being made by Extreme Violence Video Games, who turned to imprisoned Cletus Cassidy to playtest the game. In retrospect, fact, it's a pretty bad idea, especially as we learn through this story that it is possible for Carnage to reach through the computer screen and thereby escape prison and terrify anyone connected to the internet network. In the end, this means both Venom and Carnage's physical battle also goes digital when they chase each other across the interwebs, and also across various forms of media, because apparently that's how the internet worked in the 90s. At least that's how we thought it worked in the 90s. Number 6. Venom Triumphant. This battle comes to us from Peter Parker Spider-Man issue number 10 back in 1999. There were so many Spider-Man comics in the 90s, so many different titles. Here, Venom confronts Cletus Cassidy while he's locked up. Venom believes that their offspring Carnage can do much better than Cletus and refuses to let the homicidal serial killer keep its child. Instead, it insists on taking back the symbiote offspring and eats a good amount of the Carnage symbiote in order to reclaim it. Out of love, you see. I'm like, I'm gonna eat you because I love you. I want you to be back with me. While the fight is pretty quick and only a few pages long, it's been suggested that Venom eating Carnage actually caused the Carnage symbiote to try to take control from within of Venom, which prompted Venom to act more violently moving forward from this fight. As in most fights where Venom takes on Carnage, Venom ends up triumphant this time around, but it's also a lot easier of a win for our anti-hero Venom because Carnage is, locked up. So usually those fights go on a lot longer because Carnage is pretty powerful. Number 5. Fight to kill / protect Toxin. This one is a pretty unique fight in the history of these two characters, as it ended up starting out as a team-up. Well, initially it was a fight, but most team-ups, honestly, they start that way. So here Eddie and Cletus with their respective symbiotes were fighting to get Toxin, Carnage's offspring. However, both of them then realized they wanted Toxin dead, just for different reasons. Venom didn't want another Carnage existing in the world. One is enough, thank you very much. And Carnage didn't want the competition, worried that their offspring would potentially surpass them. However, when Toxin was revealed to be more aligned with the side of good, and definitely not as sadistic as their parent Carnage, Venom and Carnage came to blows once more, with Venom wanting now to protect Toxin and Carnage, of course, still wanting to destroy them. Carnage was like, cool, you're good. I definitely want to destroy you. I like destroying things that are good. Number 4. Carnage USA. Carnage USA is a story arc contained in its own miniseries where Carnage takes hold of an entire town and the Avengers attempt to stop him. However, it is then revealed that it was all a trap, as the Avengers are who Carnage really wants. Carnage takes hold of the heroes, also bending them to his will, making them watch all of the horrible things that he's doing to this town. In the end, Flash Thompson's Agent Venom comes in with his own team and fights to take Carnage down, breaking his control over the town. The fight ends up actually coming down to the two symbiotes themselves versus one another, with the heroes trying to help out the Venom symbiote, and Flash versus Cletus, both of which don't actually have legs without their symbiotes, so they're basically having this fight without having any legs. In the end, the heroes, Agent Venom included, win the day, but there is still a lot the town has lost at this point. Although, to be fair, Carnage was like, I want to take over the world, and at least they prevented Carnage from doing that, so still good. Just there's a lot of people that are traumatized now. Number 3. Venomized. During the Venomized series, which was part of the Venomverse event, we saw a poison Carnage introduced. Venom ends up facing off with this version of Cletus Cassidy, who is brought back to life by the poisons at the end of issue 1 of Venomized. While Carnage is once again defeated this time around, in addition to all the invading poisons, they lose track of him and he ends up being MIA when they are taking stock of all their defeated foes. I believe from here, Cletus ends up falling to Earth with his poison and the remnants of the Carnage symbiote still within him, which basically awaken to try to protect him, but all in all they all kind of get burned up as they enter Earth's atmosphere. But don't worry, even as a corpse, Cletus still has a lot of fight left in him. Also, sorry if some of that didn't make sense. I haven't actually read all of Venomverse, so I'm trying to understand it a little bit from like the outside in because I've only read parts. So please forgive me. Venomverse is wonky. Not in a bad way, just in a comic book way. Number 2. Absolute Carnage. Absolute Carnage was an epic summer event and battle that I would say was a big, if not the big, high point of Donny Cates's run on Venom. Here Carnage returned after literally being burned up as he fell to Earth from outer space, both the symbiote and Cletus Cassidy. However, the cult of Null got their hands on Cletus's remains and used them in a ritual to breathe life back into him, bonding him with the Grendel symbiote to create a new Carnage and beginning the process to fully awaken Null, the god of symbiotes, one of the biggest bads around. In Absolute Carnage, Venom fought against Carnage, teaming up with many other heroes heroes and villains to try and stop him from collecting all the codices located within the spines of all who had ever been bonded to a symbiote. Collecting all of these within himself would allow Carnage to awaken Null. In the end, even though Carnage was defeated, Null still awoke because, well, all the codices still ended up being gathered and a sacrifice still ended up happening to seal that ritual, with Carnage becoming that sacrifice instead of Dylan, Eddie's son. That was the choice Venom had at the end. It was like, I'm either gonna kill your son or you're gonna kill me, but either way, Null wakes up, so either way, I win. It's a lose-lose situation for Venom there. Number 1, future fight. It isn't here yet, and if it's up to Flash, it will never happen, but it seems pretty inevitable that Carnage and Venom will fight again in the future. Oh, did you think he was gone after Absolute Carnage? Never. He's never gone. He never dies permanently. Have you learned nothing from this list? Come on. This is a guy that's been blown up, been burned up, basically been like ripped apart, and anytime he seems to die, he comes back. So you can't get rid of him. Even if you rip him to pieces, he'll still be like, I'm good, I'm here. Even after Carnage's defeat in Absolute Carnage, where he was technically bonded with the reanimated corpse of Cletus Cassidy, Carnage still managed to survive his death at the hands of Eddie Brock's Venom. Carnage is currently plotting from within the hive mind, planning on overthrowing Eddie, who has become the new King in Black, after also defeating Null in the King in Black event. Flash, however, is trying to put together his own symbiote army to stop Carnage before he can get to Eddie, but like I said, I think we all know where this is really headed. If this list has taught us anything, it's that Venom and Carnage will always fight. And Venom pretty much will always win, except in Absolute Carnage, Carnage did kinda win even though he died. What are some of your favorite battles between Venom and Carnage? Who do you like better? Do you think Carnage and Venom are destined to battle again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I am your host Amanda McKnight. I've gotta go bake a carrot cake, but till next time, have a happy Halloween and stay nerdy, YouTube.